welcome everyone to our first webinar about data protection meets mobile mapping. I'm Alec, I'm CEO and founder of Zealandtour. Before we start, we have covered some organizational topics. First of all, as I said before, this webinar will be recorded, so please keep your microphone muted and your camera disabled. Thanks a lot. Second, there is a possibility to ask any questions related to this webinar or to the topics of this webinar at the end. You can submit your questions already during the webinar via the chat, and we will then answer them afterwards. So, a short introduction. I'm Alec. I'm CEO and co-founder of Zealandtour. Zealandtour provides an automated blurring solution focused on mobile mapping use cases. And with me today is Arnold Redhammer, Data Protection Officer. Arnold, please say a few words about yourself.
Yeah, as mentioned already, my name is Arnold Redhammer, and hi from my side as well to everyone. As Alex said already, I'm a data protection officer, and I deal with the whole GDPR topic for more than 3 years now. I did more than 50 projects in Austria and in Germany for small companies, like one-person companies as well, but for big DAX noticed companies in Germany, for example, in the automotive industry. And yeah, a majority of my customers, of course, is in the healthcare business because they normally have a lot of sensitive personal data there, but also like interesting startups like Zealandtour.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining today, Arnold. Thanks for helping us with this webinar. So I'd like to open the webinar with the first question, and that's the most basic one. So why do we have data protection laws?
Yeah, and that's a longer story because a lot of people are thinking, we have like data protection since the year of 2018, but the truth is that data protection is a fundamental right in Europe, and it's all based on the Charta of the human rights in the European Union, and it really started in the year 2009 when we had the Treaty of Lisbon here in Europe, and all the nations were agreeing to those standards. And in 2018, it was just like when all the countries were finally getting along with one standard, and that they could finally agree to a standard, and then the GDPR was finally introduced, and it's an important piece for that the companies need to take care of data protection in Europe as well. And the very important thing in the whole GDPR topic always is as well that the GDPR is not just like protecting the data of people in the European Union. The GDPR is also protecting all the data from people all around the world whose data is processed in the European Union. So it also is protection for like people from Africa, Asia, United States, or wherever they are coming from. As soon as their data is processed in the European Union, then their data is protected by the GDPR as well. So it's not just a law for protecting the Europeans. It should be like, it's like more like a standard for everyone living in the world. But when the data is processed here, then we take care of the people's data here as well.
So that's a huge benefit for everyone, basically. The GDPR has also some implications for technology companies. I think you've prepared a sample with one of the most famous technology companies, Google.
Because as I said, like many people think that the data protection is quite a new topic, but we all know that Google Street View is existing for many years now. So they're doing that in the States since, I don't know when they really started, but they wanted to do that the first time in Austria as well. And not just in Austria, it was a big topic like in many countries in Europe at that time. And yeah, they were told from the Austrian authorities that they can do it, of course, but they need to anonymize all the plates and all the faces that they record, which was really difficult at that time because we didn't have, or they didn't have the technology as accurate as it needed to be at that time. So it took until 2018 when finally Street View was starting in Austria, and that's all because of the technological process in the meantime, because there were very high standards always in Austria and in Germany especially about when it's about like processing picture and video data. That was always a focus here for the authorities.
Okay, yeah, so this basically this technical progress also powered or empowered us to found a company like Zealantur, who is working very deeply with those new technologies to leverage deep learning and so on to make automated blurring for mobile mapping use cases possible. So speaking of mobile mapping and Google Street View, a couple of weeks ago, I think, we noticed that around our headquarters there is kind of unanonymized or non-anonymized data available on Google Street View. So you should see it right now. You see that in our neighborhood, you see the license plate. You also could be some people without blurring over their faces further down this road. So what does it mean? What's the danger? What's the implications for this kind of data breach for a company like Google?
Yeah, the big problem always is when you are recording like pictures, or when you're taking pictures or recording videos, and you are, well, I would say not in your house and you're somewhere outside where you don't know what you will record or could record, then there's always the big danger that you don't know what is happening there. And if there are some people and you take a picture of the people, then you need the consent of them if you want to publish the content, because otherwise it's illegal because it's not GDPR compliant. Or even worse, for example, if you are recording something, and I always give the very good example because everyone can imagine what that means. For example, there is a guy walking on the street holding the hand of a woman, and the woman is not his wife. And then later, his wife is seeing the content somewhere in the internet. That could lead to a divorce, and it could lead to, I don't know, many problems. And then there is, as we always say, life maybe in danger. Could be that there is life in danger because of our recording, or of course there is a financial damage if you are recording something that you should not record, for example. And yeah, that's another example here where I just want to show you that it's not only the fines from the GDPR that are a danger when you are recording something and you don't have a consent of the people. The much bigger threat could be the damage compensation for the people if there is really some problem for the individuals when you are recording them. And we had a very good case here in Austria, and there was the Austrian mail service here was, without knowledge of the people, was producing a political profile of the customers without any information, without telling them. They were like in the background, they were like creating a political profile of the people. So the fine of the GDPR fine was 18 millions at that time from the authorities. And then there was the speculation, and there was already at the court a decision. They were saying, so he gets 800 euro for the violence of his data protection rights. And affected were more than 2 million people. And if you like just, if you do the simple math, then you get up to like 1.76 billion euro, which are always like hanging somewhere, and you don't know if you need to pay that or if you don't need to pay that. Meanwhile, of course, the process was going on, and they are not paying as long as they are not at the highest court. But it's just not funny, like when you are carrying the threat with you all the time, and normally the courts are not working that fast in no country, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we also always have the reputation loss. That's always hard to like put that in numbers, but yeah, I think it's quite obvious that reputation loss can lead to a lot of problems as well. So nowadays, you really need to take care of the data protection, especially in Europe, and I also know in the United States is a big topic as well. And because if you violate those rights, then you're in the press, and yeah, normally it's not funny then. And you also need like resources or money to correct that.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the insights. That's very interesting. So we are making a jump to another topic that we want to cover. So that's tender requirements. So if a company is applying for public tender about mobile mapping, there's some requirements that need to be fulfilled. First of all, we're started here with the technical description that was delivered with the tender for surveying and mobile mapping of the city of Vienna. That's, I think, one of the latest projects they conducted, and this is from September 2019. So we want to emphasize here what's needed to apply for those tenders, to basically be able to win them, what you need to deliver. So first of all, from our experience and also what the requirements are here, blurring is basically the method that's most commonly required when it comes to making personal information unidentifiable. So that's one thing. Then there's also a need for doing the whole anonymization automatically with state-of-the-art technology. The current state-of-the-art technology is based on deep learning. So that's basically a subcategory of machine learning. And there's also a requirement for having more than 90%, 99% detection rate. So this detection rate it's rather high, and that's basically required. So that's fair enough. One topic that could lead to problems with detection rate is also to avoid systematic errors. So, for example, if certain kinds of traffic signs or other street objects might be misidentified as a human face. So this must also be avoided at any cost. Also, the number of wrong detections, the so-called false positives, needs to be as low as possible, obviously. So this is basically what we can tell you about public tenders and what we've learned so far. Next up on the...
I can add something to that as well, because the criteria you were showing here, that's very similar to the criteria that were the demands 2010, like for Google here in Austria as well, so it did not change that much. So it was 2010, it was the same demands as nowadays. So that's why I wanted to say that the data protection rules didn't change much, just the fines are getting higher. That's the big difference.
Okay, okay. So there are also more requirements when it comes to conducting mobile mapping projects, and that's all about data protection requirements. So Arno, can you maybe elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. I was trying to put it into a picture, because then normally it's easier to understand all that. In the GDPR, we always have a a controller and a processor, and the controller is always responsible for the data. So even if you hand over the data to any other company and they should do something for you, you are still responsible. Always need to take care that they are taking care of data privacy and data protection as well. So that's what I wanted to make clear here between the controller and the processor. And there are a few demands for documents that you need to have if you want to be GDPR compliant. And first of all, what you always need between a processor and a controller is a so-called data processing agreement. We normally talk about the DPA, and that's like a contract where like the controller tells the processor what he is allowed to do with the data or what he is not allowed to do with the data, like using third-party companies or like subcontractors, or like if you or which technical or organizational measures you need to have, what we have here as well in the first point. So that's all part normally of the data processing agreement. And what also the processor and the controller are needing is the so-called data processing register. That's nothing less than a register where you document how you process data of natural people, like how you process personal data. So you have like a process where you like hire people, you have a process like where people are working for you, or you have a process where you do a marketing newsletter or whatever. So you need to have a register of those processings as well. And the processor always needs to have a register of the processes he is doing for the controller. So everything in GDPR is always paperwork. So in GDPR, if you want to be GDPR compliant, you need at least the technical and organizational measures. Then you put them into your data processing agreement as an appendix, and there you specify what your processor can do or must not do. And you need to create a data processing register, and the processor needs to create a data processing register as well. And if you have all the paperwork done, then like you can transform the data. And then it's always important that when you have personal data and when you have like videos or pictures, that's not like simple data, that can be critical information, then you always need to protect that. Like you need to encrypt when you upload it, or you need to take some technical or organizational measurements that they are secure. So what we have, for example, when Selantur is anonymizing the data, is very simple, because then the non-anonymized data, as seen here in the picture, is transferred by a secure connection to the processor, which is Selantur. And Selantur is anonymizing the content then, and then it can be even sent non-encrypted back, because when the content is anonymized, we don't need to take care of the GDPR anymore, because if there is no connection to any person, then we are out of. Yes, you can do that in many different ways as well. When you anonymize your content and it's not connected to people anymore, then you can transfer it very easy. You don't need any encryption or anything, and it's like simple. You can send it by mail. So that's why I'm a big fan of anonymization in general.
Yeah, even though we still rely on secure connection, even when we transfer anonymized data, just as a disclaimer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but as I said, when it's anonymized, then it's more like information security, why you encrypt that, but you don't need to take care of the GDPR anymore when it's anonymized.
Okay. Yeah, and so this basically means then the controller is able to distribute the anonymized data to everyone he basically wants.
Yeah, you can like put it on a website. You can send it to in an email, use it wherever. You can put it wherever you want, as long as it's anonymized. There's no interference with the GDPR.
Okay. As a last topic, I'll just give you one keyword and you can elaborate on that because some of our participants and audience might have heard of that before. Privacy shield.
Yeah, the privacy shield, that's a big topic. Since a few weeks, we had the Schrems 2 verdict, I would say, in the European High Court. And that's the big problem between the controller and the processor, because Schrems 2, Schrems 2 means that it's not possible to transfer data to the United States of America, and it's secure there because of a few laws, Patriot Act, and there are some other laws in the United States which grant the authorities there the right to grab all the data from the companies and they could use them. And that's the big problem at the moment with the United States. And that's why a lot of companies at the moment are trying to shift from like US solutions to European solutions, but it's not just European solutions. There are many other countries which provide a good data protection system as well. So New Zealand was just forming new laws, for example. So all the companies that are based in New Zealand are secure for European countries. And with the United States, you need to do like the standard data protection clauses, but there was already a meeting of the highest data protection officers in the European Union, and they made clear that it's not just like filling out the paper and doing the documentation. You really need to take care, and you really need to find some measurements that the data in the United States is secure as well, which is not so easy at the moment.
Okay, yeah, that's makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so basically we are right now at the end. So let's jump into the Q&A session. So please feel free to ask or raise any questions or any feedback you have in the chat, and we're going to answer that. So maybe one question we could cover is what needs a company, or what does a company need to do in case of a data breach?
Yeah, in case of a data breach, I would suggest that you immediately contact your data protection officer or a lawyer that is really, but not just any lawyer, a lawyer that is really like focused on IT or focused on data protection, because it's not so, you can fill out a form. It's very easy to do that, but to fill it out right is not as easy as it might seem in the beginning. So I would suggest that you really contact someone who has the knowledge how to do that.
What kind of form is this?
Yeah, every country, of course, has a different form. So the Austrian formula is different than the one in Germany, than the one in Spain. So that's the next big problem here in Europe. There is, it's not like that. There is one form for everyone. So you need to know a bit about the countries and how they are dealing with that as well. And for some countries, it's even like you don't have anything. You need to write a plain email, for example. That's also possible. So it always depends on the authority.
Okay, so basically the form is for the authority, that they are aware that there was a data breach and they can basically audit that, right?
Yeah. And important is that you need to do that very quick, because you have 72 hours of time, and within the 72 2 hours, you need to report the data breach to the authority. And in Germany, for example, we have even more than Hamburg has their own, Berlin has their, so yeah.
Okay, so we
and do it very quick.
Okay, so there's one more question. What is the liability of management personally for not ensuring GDPR compliance? Is it like not buying fire insurance if you fail to act?
Pardon, I did not get everything.
What is the liability of management personally for not ensuring GDPR compliance? So is it like not buying a fire insurance if you fail to act on that?
Yeah, that's not so easy to say because yeah, that's also we have many authorities in Europe, and it always depends on the authority. For example, here in Austria, it's like if you do like everything that you could do and have your register and you have all your data and everything, then you won't get problems immediately. Then they are telling you what to do maybe. But in some other countries, it can be more complicated, for example. And like the management, that's a big topic at the moment, and they were discussing that I think just about a week ago or 2 weeks ago in the European Council. They were talking about that maybe the management needs to be like included into the whole fine process as well, which is, yeah, we don't agree to that at the moment because that's not in the GDPR. In the GDPR, it's clearly that it's not about to include the management, but there is a big discussion at the moment in Europe if they need to include the management into the fines as well. So it's, yeah, everything is, we have GDPR since 2018. We have more than 20 authorities in Europe who are executing that, and it's still like living, developing, and it's not so easy to, and it depends on the country. Like in Spain, for example, I know in Spain, they need to make profit in the authority. So they are doing like everything they can to create fines. In Austria, it's not like that. They are more like consulting. So yeah, no, it's not so easy. There's no simple answer to that question.
Okay, yeah, okay. Cool, okay, then if there are no more questions, thank you, Arnold, for your time. Thank you for your insights and for all the answers you gave us. So we're basically at the end of the webinar, right? Thank you for joining. So we will send out a follow-up email with all the information compiled. And if you want to get consultation in regards to GDPR topics, feel free to reach out to Arnold. And if you're interested in trying out our automated anonymization solution for mobile mapping or any other mapping use cases, feel free to reach out to us. So thanks a lot and have a nice day.
Have a nice evening, everyone, or morning, or wherever you are located.